Hey, Lauren.
Hey, Bobby.
You know what's really creepy?
Mr. Rogers.
People.
Well, then Mr. Rogers.
People that are
category.
that live close to you or next to you.
Like Mr. Rogers.
Yes. Also known as
Our neighbors. Mr. Rogers.
Neighbors are creepy.
He's a menace. I don't care what people think. He's a menace. He's always telling me to have a good day and treat people nicely.
As a ghost, because he is deceased.
Oh my God, is he? Who have I been talking to the whole time?
I don't know.
Who's our neighbor?
I don't know what neighbors you're hanging out with.
Bet you guys didn't see that creepy twist. I didn't know.
You didn't know Mr. Rogers passed away?
No. It's Tom Hanks, right?
What?
Tom Hanks is Mr. Rogers.
He played him in a movie, right?
Yes, he played him in a movie. We watched the movie.
When did he pass?
Oh, look at him. He just looks so nice every time I see him.
Lauren, he died 20 years ago.
He died 20 years ago?
He died in 2003.
Well, I talk to him all the time.
Well, then.
He's my neighbor.
This is going to be.
He was my first neighbor.
Could you like to elaborate on your Mr. Rogers experience?
Well, he's my first neighbor.
From the grave.
It was Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. And as kids, we lived in it.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Neighborhood. Will you be mine? Exactly.
That's how I connected it. He was my first neighbor. Didn't he say hi, neighbor?
Yeah, hi, neighbor.
See?
How you doing, neighbor?
It connects.
Let me take off my shoes and put on my loafers.
I'm not crazy.
And my little cardigan.
Even though I might look crazy to the visual listeners because I'm just feeling up this
to the visual listeners.
To the visual listeners, but also to the audio listeners. If they're still available, I have bread plushies, bread queen plushies, and they turn inside out. I guess I'll do it, but I didn't want to. It on one side for the audio listeners, it's a happy loaf bread. It's very cute, and then on the other side, it's an angry toast bread. Yeah.
So neighbors, they're creepy, aren't they?
Would I be considered your neighbor?
Sure.
I'm your podcast neighbor.
Yeah, you're very
How
creepy.
is it living? How is it trying to work next to me?
It's very rough, especially today.
I had my feet on your laptop.
Yeah. You're off the rails today.
I don't know why.
I don't know what's going on.
Because we ate before the podcast.
You got a bunch of food energy?
Yeah.
Yeah, normally Lauren's like, before she eats lunch, she's like, I'm tired, I don't feel good. And then I'm like, did you eat? No. And then you eat, and you're like, oh!
Then I have energy.
Maybe you have low blood sugar. Isn't that a thing?
I should talk to somebody about that.
Should talk to your friendly neighborhood doctor.
Should talk to my doctor.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers, he knows a lot.
He might be able to help you with that.
So you have the meaning of a neighbor?
I do.
Are we defining what a neighbor is?
I am.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I was gonna start something else, but I need to know what a neighbor is now.
I was using Chad, and I didn't know how to utilize him that well for this one.
I see that.
He wasn't this was a different topic for Chad. He wasn't as...
This is just going to be an unhinged topic. So for anybody wondering, we've had this on our topic list for a while because it's a good topic. However, Bobby and I have been pretty fortunate on the neighbor front.
Yeah.
But we do have stories either that I know from other people or from the internet.
Yeah. Personally, not really any stories that I can think of off the top of my head at the moment that I've been brainstorming that I've had. Just normal neighbor experiences. Nothing crazy. Yeah. Nothing creepy. But
I have some stories from other people.
Do you know what the meaning of neighbors?
I don't, apparently.
Well, the term neighbors originated from the combination of two words, near and dwellers.
Ooh, I'm a near dweller.
The word near refers to proximity or closeness, while dwellers refers to people who reside or live in a particular place.
I did not know that.
The merging of these two words resulted in the term neighbors, which describes individuals who live near or close to
This is going to be the
another.
greatest podcast. Everybody better be reading this specific podcast episode like a 10 out of 10. You're learning so much.
The concept of neighbors has been a fundamental part of human communities throughout history, with people forming connections and bonds with those who share geographical proximity. The term has since become widely used to refer to individuals who live near each other, fostering a sense of community and independence.
All I'm picturing is like Audio Boom, who helps produce the podcast, trying to pitch our podcast to a sponsor and being like, would you like to be in this episode? They define the word neighbor. And they talk about what neighbors.
But wait, there's more, Lauren.
Oh, no.
Do you want to know the history of people being neighbors?
Sure. Isn't it like they just, people, what? Why is there so much
There's
written?
so much. There's so much. Chad had so much to say about this.
This is the most unhinged episode. I did not anticipate it being this ridiculous. I need to know now. No, now I'm curious. Now I think everybody's curious.
I thought it was good because when you think neighbors, the person lived next to me, but it means more.
Does it? It's people that live in like your community area. Like your direct, I would count a neighbor like anybody who lives within general walking distance for me.
Well, okay.
What's a general walking distance? Like, I don't know. Let's put a definition on it. Like 6 houses, like on either direction or across from me.
Well, you're wrong. So the history of people being neighbors dates back to the earliest human
I
civilizations.
don't know. People are probably like, you can walk to 6 houses. That's it. Well, first of all, our neighborhood is very spread out. So that's why I said 6. It would take you a while to walk through 6.
As humans began to settle in specific locations and transition from nomadic lifestyles to permanent settlements, the concept of neighbors emerged naturally.
Oh.
In ancient times, neighbors were primarily determined by geographic proximity. People who lived in close proximity to one another formed small communities or villages, often sharing resources or providing mutual support. These early neighbors relied on each other.
Oh.
Do we rely on our neighbors?
No.
So that's why I wanted to discuss the history. They
To
relied
show
on
us
each
that we're
other
doing neighbors
for
wrong?
various aspects of daily life, such as agriculture, defense, and social interactions. In agrarian societies where farming and cultivations were prominent, neighbors played a crucial role in agricultural activities. They would collaborate during planting and harvesting seasons, sharing knowledge about farming techniques and exchange surplus produce. This independence fostered a sense of community and cooperation among neighbors.
Wow.
Do you feel that nowadays? Do you feel a sense of
Oh, is that what this
community?
is all leading to? The conversation of what a neighbor is now?
throughout
I
history?
feel like now it's just somebody who lives near you.
Throughout history, the concept of neighbors has also been influenced by cultural, religious, and political factors. Boundaries, both physical and social, were established to define territories and differentiate between different communities or groups of neighbors. Conflicts and alliances between neighboring groups have shaped the relationships and dynamics between them. As societies evolved and became more complex, the role of neighbors expanded beyond mere geographical proximity. Urbanization and the growth of cities further redefined the concept of neighbors.
Is that it?
In densely populated areas, neighbors became individuals living in close proximity, often within the same apartment buildings or neighborhoods. The sense of community interaction among neighbors can vary widely depending on cultural norms, social dynamics, and individual preferences. In modern times,
I can't believe you're
advancements
still...
in transportation and communication have further shaped the nature of neighborly relationships. People can now connect with their neighbors beyond
physical boundaries, like Mr. Rogers.
Through online platforms and social media, allowing for virtual communities and digital forms of interaction. The history of people being neighbors is a story of human cooperation, interdependence, and social interaction. While the nature of neighborly relationships has evolved over time, the fundamental idea of living near and engaging with those in close proximity remains an integral part of human societies. And we are not doing that.
Well, we are not.
That's what I mean.
But
We,
other
you
people
and I
are.
Yes. Were you close with your neighbors growing up?
Yes.
Yeah, I was too.
I was gonna say, were you about to be like, you ruined
No,
my
I
point?
was.
Oh,
I was.
were you?
Yeah.
Where are they now?
I don't know.
Your parents still live in the same place? I've never seen your neighbors. There's the one people next door, which I think are newer and moved in after you.
Yeah, they were the person who did live there. I was friends with their son, so there was a lot of like growing up on my street. There was I was actually the youngest because the people next to me, they were in a grade above. Next to me was also a grade or two above. And then a couple houses down the street was like 1 or 2 and then 3 grades above me. But I was really good friends with them. We hung out a lot. And I have a fond memory of us throwing rocks at each other.
Did you all hang out on the street?
We hung out in the street. We played football.
Was it as dangerous of a street as
It
is
actually,
now?
yes. I was going to say yes. Because
Oh my
people
God.
like to cut through. So
Yeah, but it's also like but it's also like a bend. So it's kind of hard to see. Like if you're
Yeah.
flying around that bend, it's kind of hard to see like what's coming up.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like pre-internet technology, you were friends with a lot of your neighbors.
I think people are now too. It just depends where you live.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I'd say it's not as common.
Especially kids. Yeah. It
People-
feels like that. It feels, well, that's just our personal experience, but
we also live in like more separated. I feel like if you go down south or if you live in a gated community or something where
It
like
really
you have
depends.
to run into other people
Yeah.
all the time, then it might be
I
different.
mean, I know my parents are friends with like their neighbors and even the people who have like moved out, the new ones that have moved in.
So wait, so you said, is that all you would like to add to your childhood neighbors?
Yes.
Because I thought it would be good to go through each of our living
Yeah.
situations because then they combine at one point
Yeah.
and then we have a shared neighbor experiences. But before
Yeah.
that,
I mean, I was friends with like people like a street away across the road. So like in the general area, I had
Yeah.
friends like sporadic.
I had a lot of friends on my street.
Oh, did
It was
you?
only one. There was only one other girl, but it was good because she was the same exact age as me. So when, like, they had already been living there, I believe, and then my parents moved in, and they came to bed, and they were like, if we had moved, no wait, because we didn't have Melody at that point. We're just not good at going over to people's houses. I was going to say because then it would be on us to like go introduce ourselves to the new neighbors.
Yeah.
But if I found somebody that had a kid that was like the same age as Melody and their parents didn't seem super weird or creepy, I'd be so excited. I'd be like, yes,
Yeah.
play dates, very easy. Walk across the street. That's basically what my mom and her mom did. And then we went to the same schools and that was my best friend all the way up until like high school. But the thing, because like I was talking about this with my mom upstairs before we came down here. We're still technically like friends, but we became like not best friends in high school. There was no like reason. I think because we met when we were babies.
Yeah.
And then you eventually grow
was
up
just,
into
like-
people. At that time in high school, we both had very different interests and then thus started hanging out with people with the same interests. But we didn't have a
Yeah.
falling out or anything. I said, I was like if she comes into town and wanted to hang out or I go into her town, I'm hitting her up and asking her. But yeah, so that was good that I had like another girl my age. But then we had my cousins down the street.
Mm-hmm.
So they walked over all the time. Then we had right next door to us, they watched their grandson a lot. He was like 2 years older than me. Then down the street, there was 2 other boys. It was all boys though. Then there was like, yeah, Ryan, cousins, friends. We had a bunch. And we were on a
good.
big hill.
Mm-hmm.
We lived at the top of a hill. So it was not a busy
Well, it
street.
wasn't like steep. It was just gradual.
Yeah, but it was good for like riding bikes or like rollerblading or whatever. And the bus stop was right at the bottom of our street, so we would just walk down the street every morning. And it was also good because it was a quiet street, and it was a one-way street, so you could always see if a car was coming like a mile
one
away.
way?
Yeah, because
yeah.
there was a bad accident at one point down at the bottom there because there's another hill,
Yeah.
and if somebody came up and over that hill, you couldn't see at the same time, so there was an accident.
And they actually changed it. Wow.
I definitely like because the thing is if you come around that street and then there's the hill that's the one way, you'd have to turn, go all the way around and come back up my street to get to my house. So sometimes I would sneak through it.
Illegal.
Illegal. But what's funny is like all the neighbors to the right of us, I knew. And then we had a neighbor right next to us, but they didn't really have kids. They had older kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew them, but didn't really like hang out with them. And then everybody else to the left of them, like we had no association with. And also all the neighbors that we were friends with were all family members. So like, so the girl that I was close with across the street, her uncle lived like right next to us. Her grandpa lived right next to him.
Wow.
Their other grandpa lived right next to us.
That's
like
crazy.
we were like and then one of their other uncles lived at the bottom of the street.
Their
So we
whole
were just,
family
like,
came in and
stuck.
just took over.
Yeah, like we were invited to their family reunion barbecue because we were right next to
Yeah.
them. They were like, yeah, just come over. So I was just ingrained in their family. But it was nice because everybody kind of knew each other and got along. So yeah, we had really good neighborhood. My mom did remind me of after we had left, like I wasn't living there at the time, but my best friend's grandfather, in his later years was driving his car. His driveway so basically picture our house, and then across from our house is a very steep driveway that the grandparents lived on. And for a while they were trying to get their licenses taken away because they were like, they got into a couple close calls, and all of a sudden one day my mom just walks out of the house. I don't know how she did not hear this. I don't know if she was out of the house. She's probably yelling while she's listening to this podcast, the correct answer. But at some point my mom comes out to our front yard and just sees a car like on our front yard. It had like plowed through one of the fences. It was like just in the front yard, and it was the neighbor's car that had just gone down. I guess they were in the car, him and his wife, and they were going down the driveway and lost control. I don't know if he either had like a heart attack or a stroke or what while he was driving, but basically like hit the gas and went down the driveway and like over the embankment. And we're super lucky that they did not hit the house. They like somehow stopped.
So they went over that like...
They almost went over that cliff. You know how like
they didn't go over the cliff?
They didn't. They stopped right before
I was going to say, like, there wasn't that much room.
It would have been way worse if they went a couple more feet. There was a little like, cliff. But I can't imagine my mom literally walking out and just seeing somebody's car that had run into the thing. And then she looks in the car and nobody's there. So she's very confused. And she realized it was their car. So she called my like best friend's mom, because that's her father, and told her. And then I'm pretty sure they got their licenses taken away after that. But that's the only crazy story I can think of from our neighbors. I also know that one time, I think my mom knows this, but now she's gonna, I snuck friends into the house senior year of high school, just like during the day. Yeah. I think I told her this later on. But our neighbors definitely saw the ones on the other side, and we were trying to like sneak in. I was like, and I had such anxiety for weeks that they were going to tell my mom.
You snuck your friends in during the day?
So we skipped school.
Oh, you skipped school? You didn't mention that.
Oh,
I
sorry.
was like,
Sorry.
You had friends over during the day? You're crazy.
We skipped school.
Gotcha.
And then we like I snuck them in to like hang out at my house before the end of school and then go back. Because I lived right near school. And our neighbors saw, and I was terrified they were going to say something, but I don't know if they ever did.
Did you ever go home?
It was literally us sneaking through the woods. We like had parked and then tried to walk through the woods so nobody would see us go to the front of the house.
For a while, my school was okay with people like leaving for lunch. So I would do that.
Oh yeah, they got rid of that right when I started.
Leave during like a free period or whatever. And I would go home and like eat microwave White Castle sandwiches.
I would eat White Castle.
Yeah, we did doing that a couple times, like eating ramen and crappy food. I don't know what. That's what I remember.
Hot Pockets.
Yeah, probably.
Hot Pockets, microwavable White Castles. Ugh. I would never know. I would. Maybe if I was drinking.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Or if I just really needed it.
Then I guess college.
Yeah.
Neighbors.
Dorm neighbors? Or no, you didn't really.
I guess that would
live
count.
In a dorm.
I mean, I did. It was like a mini dorm.
It was like a house.
It was more. I would say it's more of like a dorm than a house. It had.
Well, I think that's more. Would you count that as a roommate?
I would say that was roommates.
Yeah.
But like, the first place I lived in, we didn't really have neighbors. We had farms by us. Ooh. And then when I lived in a house, when we lived in a house, we had neighbors, but I mean, we were college kids, so didn't know them.
Yeah.
There was we were intermixed with like families and other college kids, and same with the other houses, and nothing is that I can think of is coming to mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't count.
We were just lucky that we never had issues with like cops coming for like we would have like, bands playing in our basements and parties and stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't count neighbors unless you like owned a place and were with other people that
not a renter. What about an apartment?
No, renter. No, I would count renting. I meant like if you're dorming, that's a little different.
Yeah, I mean,
everything's
we were
like
renting
stuff.
We were renting houses.
No, I know. Well, I rented before. No, you had a house and I was renting. I will say one of the weirdest things is, which I don't know if this is true, like for everybody, but in New York City, we never I didn't know any of the neighbors in any of my apartments, which is weird because you're in very close proximity to one another.
Yeah,
You'd
but I guess
think-
like everyone's doing their own thing. You're in and out. You're not really like
even if
you're
I
not
did,
like outside of your apartment socializing.
yeah, even if I did see somebody, it was like,
Hey.
hey, and that was it. And then you never saw them again.
Yeah, I don't have any. Even when our first apartment that we shared together. Well, the New York City one, yeah, I don't remember anyone. But then when we moved out of New York City, I don't remember any.
We
Oh
met
yeah,
one
sorry,
girl.
duh, yeah, we had
two people we
because
met,
of
the dogs.
The dogs, yeah.
We met one girl that had Paddington. It was so funny because when you're
Was it
like
Paddington?
yeah, it was Paddington was the first one.
In New York City.
Oh no,
that
not
was
in
New York City.
I was talking about Jersey.
I thought the one in. I don't know. Yeah, maybe
There
you're
was
right.
only that one guy on the street. He wasn't our neighbor.
No.
I mean, I guess technically he lived in the area.
Yeah.
no, I was talking about
in the
when we moved
apartment.
to
Yeah,
Jersey. We met the one girl when we first moved there, but she moved out.
Yep.
That had Paddington.
Yeah.
And they had like a play date the one time, and then
Yep.
we met the one couple that had the French bulldogs.
Yeah. They were nice. Didn't they watch Dexter the one time for us?
Yeah, I thought the Paddington girl
I
did.
thought
One of
it-
them did.
I thought it was the couple. So
Maybe.
we're like going
Yeah.
to their house. Was there another couple that we met?
No, I thought it was just
It
them.
was just them. Okay.
But yeah, we met nice neighbors there, but
Yeah.
we didn't like hang out.
And we never had any really issues. The only time we had issues was our one like neighbor was complaining about Dexter barking. They were like, "Oh, he's barking all day," and then we
set up a camera.
and he was barking for like 5 minutes. He would bark when people would walk by, which it's a dog.
Yeah.
And then he'd bark for like 5 minutes when like they would drop mail off or something or package.
It's only when something happened. It wasn't all day.
He wasn't just sitting there by the door barking all day. And we're like, "You're crazy."
We even like set up a camera to tell the main
Yeah.
building people. And I remember we asked them and they didn't think it was a big deal. They were just like, like try.
Just try.
just try to keep
Try to shut them
quiet.
up.
But we were moving out soon anyway, so we didn't care
Yeah.
that much. Our real first neighbor experience, like house, was our first
Our first
our
house.
first starter house, our little house on the
Which
corner.
we had the neighbors behind us who were nice. It was a couple.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
We invited them over to like when we had
The party, yeah.
was it our engagement party?
Yeah, we were trying to be nice. See, we did try.
We went around and
we went around and told people we were trying to
Yeah.
be nice. We were like, we just moved in and now we're gonna have this huge party. And so we were nice and went around just to
and then
introduce ourselves. And we said, hey, like, just let us. Oh, we even gave our phone number. We were like, let us
Yeah.
know if we're being too loud or whatever. And we're like, and totally stop by if you want to. Like,
Yeah.
that was super nice. I feel like we would never do that now.
No.
That
Well,
one guy like came and like looked through our house and stuff.
Yeah, well,
The
that was
random
pre-YouTube.
guy.
Or like, yeah.
Yeah, I think YouTube has ruined my like trust.
Yeah.
Given me severe trust issues to the point where
I
would be
remember that
able
one
to
guy
do it.
came. Remember that old lady who lived there? She was one of the like
Yeah, that's the
The
guy
League
I
of
was
Their
talking
Own?
about, and he like went and looked through our house, and
Yeah.
at one point I didn't know he was there, and I just like came in the house. I was
Yeah.
like, who the hell are you? And he's like, oh, I live down the street with
and he
my
was like
aunt.
a rocker guy,
Yeah, so he had
like
like
a drummer in a
jet
band.
black hair.
Yeah, he was like all black clothing. And then we had
Yeah, he was nice though. He was
and then we
just
had the
so-
neighbors next to us. So I'm pretty sure the guy's name is Wayne. And he had
Yeah.
his 2 sons that lived there.
Oh my god, I do remember with them.
We did
They
have
were
a couple
nice.
issues.
Yeah, they were nice, but they definitely like they blocked because we were on a dead end street where the last house, like
Yeah.
we were, and they were the ones right next to us. So they used to like pop up chairs and just block, like sit right in front
It
of
was
where our
his
driveway
sons.
was.
The guy was nice, and he would
which
always
is
like,
fine because anytime I had to go out, I obviously was like,
yeah,
the second we tried to go or somebody came, they got up, but it was just like a little weird. We're just like, like we got to ask you to move every time.
Yeah.
And they would take up our spot. We had a parking spot
across
that they would like
yeah.
use without asking,
Yeah.
and we'd have to tell them to move if we needed the spot. And yeah, it felt like it wasn't our house. It was like we were sharing it with somebody else that we had to go like check in with them and be like, hey, can you move your car? I need my spot.
Yeah, it was funny. He had a little dog named Harley.
Oh yeah,
And-
I miss her.
And Dexter, and because Dexter always likes little dogs.
She was like this little fat old chihuahua.
yeah, she would just come
just, like,
over,
waddle
and she
over.
would go in because she could fit in between the fence.
Oh,
So
yeah,
sometimes
we would just find her
We
in
just
the
see
backyard.
her in the backyard with hanging out with Dexter.
And that was the first time I ever met that dog. Was I just opened the door and Dexter's hanging out with this little chihuahua. I was like, where's this dog coming from?
Harley! He'd
And we just hear
yell.
him yelling. Oh my god!
And then she would come over and like poop in the yard. And
And just waddle back.
yeah,
through the
I
gate.
didn't really care.
I was
They were
so
good.
sad.
And then they
that
got the pit bull. The son had the pit bull.
Oh,
remember
that's
that?
Right. It was a puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. I think I remember it being good.
I think it was good. It was a little crazy because it was
Yeah,
a puppy,
yeah.
but like,
It was
But it
just
was fine.
energetic.
I don't remember having any problems with it.
Yeah, we never. Well, I had a Christmas party with my friends, and they called the cops on it. We don't know who called the cops, but I mean, rightfully so. It was like
Right,
1
we
a.m. We were out
deserved
just
it.
yelling outside. I'll never forget. So we had like a small little like sinkhole at the beginning of our driveway, and I patched it.
Oh,
And I
forgot about that.
I put like a plank of wood and then a whole bunch of what did I put on it? Like bags of I think cement, and I put a big cone on it so like people would see it. Because what they would do is they would pull into our driveway to like turn around.
They would turn around all the time, which also, as my anxiety grew with YouTube, sometimes people would like try to turn in our driveway, but they would sit there for a couple minutes because
Yeah.
they were probably trying to figure out where they were going if they got lost.
It was
But
a weird street.
I thought it would be nice living on a dead end street. No, I would live on a dead end street if it was a
A
cul-de-sac.
cul-de-sac would be nice.
But not where we're the only
Yeah, where
driveway
everyone
people
is
can
turning
turn
around.
around in.
And so anyway, so I had that thing there, and I remember being like, all right, there's a huge freaking cone on it. There's no way anyone's going to hit this. And of course, at like
Oh, yeah,
1
I think I
a.m.,
remember hearing it.
boom, smash. And we had a security camera. I remember watching it, and like I saw him like
I
smash
remember you
into
going
it.
like this. Like,
Yeah, I was
shaking your
I
head.
was like, you got to be kidding me, dude. It's because they just go in like not thinking, and
Yeah.
it was very easy to see. And I
Wait, what
remember-
about the other guy? You're gonna talk about the other guy that was stealing like
Oh yeah,
mud or clay or whatever
That
from
was
our
weird.
and ruin the.
So we had
And
like
then
a
we got
little.
blamed
There
for
was a
it.
little stream that ran through our yard, and it was it went farther up and down and whatnot. And one time I was out there and I see this like old guy in the stream with like a rake.
No. Picture this, like when you walk out of our house, because we're the last house on the street. If you look to the left, there's just woods, like there's a wooded area, and that's technically part of our property.
Yeah.
So if you walk out of our house and you just look to the left, you see this old man in the woods, like doing something.
Yeah.
And you're like, why is this man like there's no reason he should be there. That is not a public area. He literally like came into our property to
Yeah.
like
So I remember I went and confronted him, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing? Like, you're on my property. What are you doing?"
what are you doing?
And he's like, "Oh, I'm getting." He was, I don't remember if he like spoke. I think he spoke like broken English, but he
Wait, was that the old guy that was like at the end of our street that always was outside? Was it that
no,
guy? Oh.
no, I don't. That was not him.
I forgot about that little old guy. That did
Yeah,
a
there
lot
was
of
an old
garden-
couple that was
that
right at the
did
beginning.
gardening and stuff a lot.
But no, I don't. I hope it was. I don't think it was him.
No, I think you would have known.
Yeah. Anyway, so he said, "Oh, it might have been him." I never thought about that. I thought he looked different.
Well,
'Cause
he
maybe he
walked
went-
down there. He didn't drive over there.
No, he was
So
walking.
he
Yeah.
definitely lived local.
But he's like, "Oh, he's like, I get this the like mud he used for his garden or something like that."
it was probably that guy because he
It might
always
have been.
gardened.
I never thought about that. But I was like, okay, like, you know.
But also, he could have came and asked us and been like,
Yeah.
hey, just so you're not.
If he would have
freaked out
asked, I
that
would have been
there's
like,
a
that's
random
completely
man."
fine. I don't care. Take the
Yeah.
mud. I don't own the mud, but you're on our property. Like, it's a little weird you're there.
Yeah.
And then one day the cops came, or I saw the cops. They were like
You're like,
walking
"Yo,
around.
You stealing mud?
They were walking around like our yard in that general area. And I went out to them. I was like, hey, how's it going? They're like, oh, it's like all backed up because there's all like it's flooding upstream. And we're seeing if there was like a down tree or something. And what ended up happening is the guy like dammed up the
Probably
stream.
from like moving it around.
So he could, I think if he could get across or like, cause so he could more easily collect the mud. So they cleared that out. It fixed the flooding, and then he came back. And I remember I went up to him. I was like, "Dude, you got to stop! Like the cops are here." And, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, it was weird. Neighbors are. It is weird having to like
deal with
deal
people that you don't want to.
with that kind of like weird stuff. And the stories I have, there's plenty of more. Like
I think that's why we liked the house we're in right now so much, because like we have neighbors, but you cannot.
there's really no interaction.
There's
with
no
them.
need for them to come anywhere near our front door or
Yeah.
in our area. Like if somebody was in our area at this house, I'd be like, okay, there's something going on. Like
Yeah.
they're trying to find something. They know us.
Yeah, it was. That was weird. But other than that, no.
I do. Oh, and I remember the sons would have parties a lot
Yeah.
next door, and you could hear our bedroom was like right next,
next to it.
I mean, it kind of was fine because I always need TV to fall asleep anyway. I don't
Yeah.
need like silence, so I'd kind
They
of.
were.
It was a little. It
wasn't
was
too bad.
annoying things.
It was
And
annoying. Yeah.
There
it
was
wasn't-
there was one time they invited us over when we first moved in. Remember? And we went over
went?
there.
Yeah, we did.
Just to like see, but
Yeah.
it wasn't our like. I feel like they were younger and not.
Well, he had a younger son who was younger than us.
I think the older, him and his girlfriend invited us.
Yeah.
Because they were like being loud or whatever. They were probably like, come stop by. But yeah, that never turned into anything.
No.
Either. But I do remember. So I'd be
crowd.
like waking up to go to work. Yeah, I feel like this is the only, because we were very close to the neighbors. Like, so you could hear.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they probably saw some weird stuff on our end because that's when I did like the mannequin head thing and like dancing in the snow outside with it. But the guy was the dad was really nice.
Yeah, he was nice.
Actually, everybody was nice to us, but we kept seeing things that they would do, and we're like, "What are you doing?" Like I'll never forget. I'm like going to what's it called, work in the morning when I was working an office job. And I'm like up, I don't know, 7 a.m. going to my car. All of a sudden, I just hear like somebody having a domestic next door. Like, obviously not violence. I would have called somebody, but like just two people like screaming, full on screaming at each other at 7 a.m, like names and whatever the heck. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm
going to work. Bye.
So excited to start my morning with hostility from next door. Like, I was legit scared a couple times. I was like, this sounds like an intense fight. I don't know.
Yeah, but the guy who like owned the house, the main guy, he was nice, and I would like we would go like sit on his like
the
front porch and talk. We'd talk. He was nice.
He did like to talk because every time we'd come back from walking Dexter, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna want to talk.
No, he was really nice, and he was sad to see us go because we were good neighbors.
Yeah, he was the only person that I was like felt bad telling that we were moving away.
Yeah, I liked him.
But hopefully they like the neighbors that are there now. They seem like a nice family.
Mm-hmm.
And then our house now would be our next neighbor. We know one.
I met the one neighbor when we were moving in. Exchanged phone numbers. We've texted a couple times when like
about
there
bears.
was a package down by the mailbox, or if there was a bear in the area. He sent me like a video when he was driving.
They bring us oh my god, I can never say it. Eid Mubarak. Is that
sounds right?
The holiday?
Yeah.
For that, it's like a Muslim holiday, but every year, except for the pandemic year, we sadly did not get them. But every year, before and since, we get these like little pastries that they make for the holiday. Yeah. We just got them like a couple weeks ago, and I'm always so excited. I'm like, that's the most interaction we have with our neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, when I walk Dexter, I'll see people. There's this one guy who lives like around the block. He's probably a little bit older than me. And I see, I don't know, I guess he works from home or whatever he does, but
it's just hard.
I've waved and said hi, and like,
it's a weird dynamic.
It's weird because the thing is nowadays, like, you have your group of friends, especially when you're older.
Yeah.
And unless you're looking to make friends, like, you're not out there actively trying to engage with people.
Well, it's like, remember around the block every time we walked by, because it was like a cul-de-sac area and they were all out with their kids having barbecues. And I'm like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I'm like, should we just go over there and go into these? Hi.
We live.
Do you guys watch YouTube?
We're neighbors.
Can we get invited to your block parties? Hey, Bobby, you know what's really creepy?
What, Lauren?
Having to change out your shoes every season.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Like, you got your winter boots, got rain boots for the spring.
Yeah.
But don't worry, because that's where today's sponsor, Vessi, comes in to help. Because I know you're like me. And ever since we got sent some Vessi shoes, they've been by the front door and we use them all the time.
Yeah, I wore them today. As usual, when I take Dexter for a walk, I slip on my Vessis.
I wore them yesterday when we went to the farm. Because, I mean, they're lightweight, they're super comfortable. And my favorite part about them, they're 100% waterproof.
Yeah, sometimes you have like your cool shoe, but you know, you're not going to really want to wear it when it's raining or bad weather or you're going to a farm. But the good thing about Vessis is they look cool, they are cool, and you can wear them wherever.
Yeah, and I have a light colored pair, which I was scared to wear because I thought I was going to ruin them like any other light colored shoe. And I've been putting them through the ringer and they still look fantastic.
The reason that Vessi shoes are so great in wet conditions is because they have a lugged rubber outsole that gives you extra grip in the changing conditions. Whether it's a beautiful summer day or a crappy winter rainy day, you can wear your Vessis regardless of the weather.
They pretty much have all the features of a rubber winter boot or even a rain boot built into a sneaker. They're waterproof and warm, yet much lighter and more comfortable than boots.
And the way that Vessi is able to make these shoes so great is that they're made from a Dymatex material, which is a super soft knit material that keeps your feet warm and cold, but cool in the warmer months. It doesn't feel like it should be waterproof, but trust us, they are.
And you didn't even mention one of my favorite things about the shoes.
Oh, I know what it is.
What is it?
You can slip them on and slip them off.
Yeah. Very helpful when you have a toddler or dog that wants to get out of the house as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And you don't have to sit there and tie them up every time. You can just
It's the
slip them
best.
on, slip them off.
I mean, there's a reason why we keep having Vessi be a sponsor of the podcast. It's honestly because we wear them all the time and we think that you guys would love them too. Plus, Vessi has so many styles to choose from, so you can find the perfect pair for you.
Like we've told you many, many times before, Vessi's are our go-to shoes by our door. Check them out in the link, vessi.com/zside for a pair of your Vessi shoes. And make sure you use code ZSIDE for 15% off your entire order.
That's vessi.com/zside. And be sure to use code ZSIDE for 15% off your entire order. Thank you so much, Vessi, for being a sponsor and continuing to be a sponsor of the podcast. It's hard because if you go to a neighborhood and you meet people and then it like doesn't work out, then it's awkward. Now it's like, okay, well, do we have to invite these people all the time?
Yeah.
We don't really like hanging out with them. Like, or if you have an altercation with somebody, like you're stuck next to them. That's the worst part. I feel like it's just like, if you had an altercation with like your roommate, when we talked about roommates, like that sucked because you were stuck with that person in your room. But like neighbors is like the equivalent of that when you no longer need a roommate. It's like if you piss off your neighbor next door or vice versa, it's that awkwardness of being like, oh, what if I run into this person? What if I go to
what
the
are they
car
gonna
and then
do?
what are they gonna do to my house? Like,
Yeah.
are they gonna report every little thing I do? Yeah. And I know that I'm sure you have the stories, but like there's some crazy.
Yeah, I read
people.
there's a
I've
lot
seen
of
videos on TikTok. That's like what I feel like that's one of the most popular like TikTok videos is just neighbors being crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you never know who you're living next to. It could be just an absolute psychopath.
And it's hard because it's like if you're paying for your house, like you own that property and everything that you want with that property is like it's your house. You want it to be the way you want it. So if somebody's like ruining that for you, it's not an easy. You know what I mean?
You can't
like,
just easily pack up
if
and
somebody
leave.
next to you is like being super loud all the time, like all day long, there's not really anything anybody can do, I don't think, if it's during the day.
Not really. It depends. If you're in an apartment, stuff like that, you can, but
I know you don't like being close. Yeah, I think after our first house, I don't ever want to be that close to another person's house.
I like privacy in the sense that I just don't want people like right next to me.
I would love to have a community.
Yes.
But not neighbors right next to me.
No. I just don't want people to see every little thing I'm doing or like hear them or whatnot. Because my parents' house, like they're surrounded by
Yeah, you can see
people.
like 5 houses from their backyard. Like all the houses around
Every
them
angle.
can see everybody's
It's just
backyard
I don't
and what
feel
they're
like
doing.
you have any sort of privacy.
It's
Not
like
that I'm
living
trying
in
to
an
like
apartment,
walk
kinda.
around naked or anything, but you just want to be able to, I don't know, like I like being able to, I don't know, be
do whatever you want without judgment.
more so just like I want peace. And I don't
Peace.
I want peace. So I don't want like people super close next to me doing stuff. I mean, I hear plenty, there's, even though the house where we live now, like houses are a little separated, but
You can still hear.
You can hear
barbecues
things,
and
you hear
stuff. It's
kids,
just
like,
not
playing.
bad because of how spaced out we are. But if it was right next to you and you, if you're like, this is my one day, the kids are gone, I'm
And then
gonna
they're
relax,
doing
and then all of a
work
sudden
or-
somebody's doing work in their house next to you, and they're like, "Rrr." I was trying to remember. I remember we had a party that we were doing, and like the day or two before, somebody was doing crazy at this house. Do you remember that? I think it was either my birthday or something. A day or two before, it was so loud, and I was like, I'm hoping that they don't do this during the. I don't think they did. I think we got lucky. But I thought about that. I was like, yeah, it was on a weekend too. I was like, oh, it was the weekend before the party. I said, good thing we didn't do it this weekend.
Yeah.
It was so loud. But like, yeah, you have no, or, when I always bring up Columbus Day.
Remember it was like 7 a.m. and the neighbor right across from us here was like ripping up their driveway.
That's what I mean at Columbus Day.
Yeah.
I was like, who's doing it on? I was like, everybody's, I know it doesn't affect us because like we work for ourselves, but
All of a
on
sudden,
Columbus Day,
you
not
just hear
that-
like jackhammers and people,
at 7 a.m.
they were getting their driveway redone and it was just getting just ripped up. And
Like, thank God we didn't have Melody in our room at that. I think
was
that's what I
so
remember because
loud.
Melody was in her own room at that point, and I remember,
it was then?
yeah,
Oh.
because I remember being like, "There's no way." I said it was like soon after we had moved her.
I remember I
'cause
was so
said,
mad.
Thank God,
I went outside and I was like looking and I was just like, what are you guys doing? Like,
because I remember
it was so obnoxiously loud.
I remember checking her monitor to make sure that it wasn't coming through because she was on the other side. But yeah, 7 a.m. to rip up your truck, and then they had to do it twice, didn't they? Didn't they do it
I
the
think
next
they had
day
to like
'cause they messed
repair.
up?
They had to like repair something.
But that's what I mean. Like, you have no control.
That's the
'cause
other
it's
hard
just your
part is, like-
neighbors decided to do it.
I mean, we had a lot of work done in our house for a while,
Oh, I know.
so I'm sure.
That's why I said I was like, all of our neighbors probably hate us because we had so many
Then we had
work
our.
trucks.
Then we had
come
a
in
deck
and-
redone. I'm sure that that was a lot of noise. That's the thing. Is like, what are you gonna do? People are gonna.
Well, that's
have,
why I don't get mad about
No.
it. It could be an annoyance, but like, everybody does it at some
Yeah.
point.
It would
I
be.
would like to know that somebody like your dad always says, like, knowing somebody has your back and can tell
Yeah.
you, like, hey, there's a creepy person that's like hanging out in your yard, or like,
Yeah, I mean
hey,
that's
your
why it's nice. Like I
package is-
exchange numbers with the guys, so in case.
Yeah, it's nice to have
like
at least
they're
one
out and I
person.
notice their house is on fire, or like something
Yeah.
crazy, or
That's what
I
I mean,
see
like, they'd be the only
packages
people.
at his mailbox or something, or
Yeah,
whatever it may be. See a bear walking around.
yeah.
It's good to have. Yeah, I wish we were more friendly with people, but
Just people in general.
just our neighbors. But the area we live, people just aren't close
Yeah,
by.
that's why we said if we were gonna have that sort of. I feel like the only way to like force ourselves to have that is to live in some sort of like not
Community.
gated, but like some sort of community where there's a shared, I don't know, HOA, and there's like a shared meeting spot, like either a clubhouse or a park or beach, like
Yeah,
somewhere
so you
where.
make friends away from your house.
So
like,
you
oh,
know-
I live here. You live.
Yeah.
Okay, well, come on over or whatever.
Well, I like that. Like, if only the people that live in that area can use those facilities, and you know
Yeah.
whoever you're dealing with is like somewhere nearby. You can hunt them down if they do something.
Hunt them down.
Hunt 'em down.
Damn, Lauren.
No wonder we don't have neighbor friends.
Yeah.
I'd be hunting them down.
And at the same time, I'd be just as happy living in the middle of nowhere
I know.
with
That's
not a
when you-
neighbor for miles. I don't know what I want in life.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like you don't know what you want in life if you like both of those polar opposites.
I guess we just have to have two houses. Have one really close.
I think like where we're at now is the furthest I would want to be.
I think
from
it's
somebody.
different now that we have Melody,
Yeah.
and when we, raising them, you want neighbors. You want, ideally, it'd be great if they, there's other kids around her age.
Yeah,
But-
that you could just rely on somebody to just like be a friend, and like you have their back and they have yours.
Thanks for being a friend.
Like if somebody had an emergency. Like I remember when my mom accidentally like spilt hot water on her legs and had to go to the hospital.
Ooh.
As I'm telling the stories, like this just sounds terrible. She had to go to the hospital, and like her neighbors, like she had to be brought by my uncle right away. And me and my brother were like not old enough to be
Yeah.
taking care of ourselves. So like our neighbors took us in and gave us dinner and made sure like everything was good until my mom or dad could get back from the hospital. So like we don't really have that. We'd either have to like bring her or wait till your parents came.
Yeah.
Which is like 40 minutes. So it is nice to have somebody nearby
sure.
to like that
No, I
you
wish
trust
we had
enough
it.
to like have your back and like in an emergency like that.
Yeah.
But it's not always.
Yeah.
Not always the case.
Would you like to hear some weird neighbor rules?
Rules.
Like almost like HOA fee, HOA, homeowners associations.
Sure.
So these are just some weird things that people like can and can't do
In their
in their
neighborhoods.
neighborhoods, whether it's in an HOA or whatever it may be. And I'm gonna.
I feel like someday if we ever are in an HOA, you're going to hear me. If this podcast is still going, I'm going to be like, I hate HOAs. It's so dumb. I do hate all the rules,
Yes.
but I want the community.
Well,
So I
don't worry,
guess-
because my next thing is I asked Chad, why are HOAs strict? And
Oh, okay.
the answers make sense
Oh, okay.
for the most part. All right. So these are like weird neighborhood rules, let's say. No front yard decorations in
I
certain,
have heard that. So
It's-
my aunt's house is like that.
in certain neighborhoods or homeowners associations. There might be rules prohibiting or limiting the display of decorations or ornaments in the front yard. This can include restrictions on holiday decorations, garden gnomes, or other personalized elements that some may find harmless but are deemed undesirable by the community. Restricted clothing
Damn.
on laundry lines, which
What?
I guess some people still do this. In some areas, rules or regulations dictate the type of clothing that can be hung on outdoor laundry lines. This could involve prohibiting the display of undergarments, swimwear, which is a little odd, but whatever, or certain articles of clothing that are considered inappropriate or offensive to the community standards.
Oh.
Limited window coverings. Certain neighborhoods or housing developments may have rules restricting the types of window coverings that can be used. This can range from disallowing curtains or blinds that are not of a specific color or style to imposing regulations on the opacity or transparency of window treatments, which may intrude upon privacy concerns.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
weird.
that happens. Like the HOA rules. That's why I don't think it'd be hard for me to live in an HOA, just because I get why they have a lot of the rules, and my next thing explains it, but I don't want that at this current time. And then I feel like if I did get into it, I'd be like,
You'd be at the
I'd be like
association
Otto.
meetings.
I'd be like Otto and
Yeah.
walking around, because I do that nowadays. Because there's a house. There's a house around.
They're not supposed to
Well,
do
here's
this.
two things I hate now is when people don't put their garbage in garbage cans, and then animals get in and it just goes everywhere. Like, stop. Like, what are you doing? You're an idiot. And then
What are you doing?
and then there's another house that's around the block, and they haven't cut their grass in like a month or so. It's crazy
Really?
high. And I always don't want Dexter going in because I don't want like ticks and whatnot. And it's just like, if I was living right next to him, I'd be mad. Like, dude,
You'd be the guy with the like ruler measuring grass and be like, "Your grass is supposed to be."
no, I wouldn't be like that. But when it's absurd and it just looks like a vagrant
No,
house,
I get it.
or when your garbage,
What also keeps,
And I hate- and I
houses
also-
that have garbage out on the lawn.
I hate-
Or
and
not
I-
even garbage, but just like things out on the lawn.
and when
that
people
aren't
put
supposed
out
to
the
be on lawn.
recycling on the wrong week and they just leave it out like cardboard
Yeah.
boxes and stuff, it's like, come on. No exterior modifications. Some communities or homeowner associations have stringent rules regarding exterior modifications to the homes, limiting residents' freedom to personalize or modify their properties. These rules may restrict changes to paint colors,
Yeah, this is like in my mom's neighborhood.
architectural styles, or the addition of certain structures, which can give an eerie uniformity to the neighborhood.
Yeah, you know what's is crazy? Like she told me her neighbor got his driveway repaved, but
Yeah.
because he did it a slightly different color than what was approved, he had to like pay to get it redone. I was
insane.
like, that's insane.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a crazy color. It was just not the approved color.
Yeah.
And same like if you paint your house, they have approved colors.
Well,
that
that's
you
the
have
thing
to,
is like if you allow one thing and then
then it's chaos.
a slippery slope. Another one I have here is quiet hours extremes. So extreme.
What are extreme quiet hours?
While quiet hours are typically in place to ensure peaceful living conditions, some neighborhoods may have excessively strict rules regarding noise levels and quiet hours. These rules might include prohibiting even the slightest noise.
What?
No.
How would they? Do they have a
You have to-
decibel reader?
You have to whisper. Or activities that would typically be considered acceptable during reasonable hours. Yeah.
Like chess. Like
And
chess.
it's probably more so to do with like people doing work on their house or
Yeah.
stuff like that. Using a leaf blower, etc. No outdoor lighting, which I found weird.
That's weird.
In rare cases, neighborhoods or communities may have rules that restrict or prohibit the use of outdoor lighting at night. This can create an eerie atmosphere and potentially compromise safety and security. That one I don't know what Chad was talking about there.
Yeah. What?
No front yard gardens. In certain areas, regulations might forbid residents from maintaining gardens or landscaping in their front yards. This can result in a lack of greenery and more sterile or unwelcoming environments.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I really want a garden.
Do you?
I do, but I don't want to take care of it.
Exactly.
Can you take care of it?
No. We'll call
Can we hire Justin to come
Yes.
take care of it?
forbidden pet species. Unusual rules might restrict residents from owning certain pet species that are considered unconventional or potentially disruptive.
Well, I know that because when we, especially for like renters,
Yeah.
there's usually dog guidelines.
Well, I think they're talking about
can't-
like alligators.
Oh, well, that seems
Crazy things.
reasonable.
Yeah.
No, but I know some. I'm sure there's
But
some
it also
communities that
specific
don't
dog
allow
breeds.
certain dog
For sure. I'm
breeds.
sure no one wants pit bulls and stuff, even though.
It's always like pit bulls, Rottweilers,
Yeah.
German Shepherds sometimes.
Yeah, just the bigger, more aggressively, stereotypically aggressive
the ones that could
dogs.
take you down if they wanted to. But
Yeah.
but doesn't always necessarily mean they're gonna.
Surveillance camera mandates in some
I
neighborhoods
like this.
or apartment complexes. There may be rules requiring residents to install surveillance cameras outside their homes or in common areas. While the intention may be to enhance security, this level of constant monitoring can create a sense of unease and invasion of privacy.
What?
I'm a fan of it. I think
I approve of
Yeah.
security cameras in and around people's homes.
yeah, I think it's good to have because if someone's like house or car gets broken into or there's, something going on.
Yeah, well, there's
more if you have more people,
more packages that get stolen.
Yeah.
Like,
the more people that have cameras, the better.
yeah, I don't see a problem with somebody having cameras around their
I can
house.
understand if like you have it pointed in someone's backyard and you can see in there.
Yeah, or through their window. All right, I found
That was easy.
I found the bad loophole of that. But when we moved into this house, there's he had a camera. Like, we do have actual cameras right now. I'm not like giving away a hack, but for somebody who can't afford cameras, a cool hack that the guy that owned the house before us learned. We saw a camera. We're like, oh, you installed cameras. And he was like, no, that's a fake camera.
Yeah.
He just like bought a really cheap fake camera and put it right by the front door so that people would think there was a camera.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
So if you can't afford it, but we have cameras everywhere.
We are watching.
If anything, there's like a couple spots I even want more cameras. I can get different angles.
Yeah.
I love if we hear a noise, just popping up the cameras and seeing like what, or if Dexter's barking or growling at something, just popping up the cameras and be like, what is it?
Yep. No,
Not having to like look
big
through
fan.
the windows and try to
I
see.
enjoy it. I like having it.
Or
You
if I'm
feel a
ever
lot
alone,
safer. Yeah.
I can just like glance at them from time to time and know that I'm good.
No, I'm a fan.
What was nice is we put that up when our house was under construction. We like set up a camera right in the front of our house because there was like construction workers going in and out. We wanted to make sure.
Oh yeah, we just had it in the window. Yeah.
And I remember because we hadn't lived here yet, and I was like, I swear to God, if I look at these cameras and there's some like weird thing that I witnessed before we even move into this house. But it was good because after weeks of construction, literally zero weird activity going on outside our house.
Yeah.
And it made me feel even happier to move.
I have a reoccurring dream that I still have access to the cameras at our old house on the Nest app. And it's really weird.
That is weird.
Nothing like weird happens, but it's like I just still for some reason have like access to the cameras, and I'm like, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a random thought I had. So then I asked.
It's funny every time we have the cameras though, and then we have like our guests or parents over there like, what are you watching me? It's like,
yes,
we put them in specifically to watch you.
Yes, we are watching you.
Like,
Don't
it's
do
not in
anything.
the bedrooms. It's not in the bedroom.
Maybe they are. I asked Chad, why are HOAs or homeowners associations so strict? And Chad told me this, that they are often strict with rules to help maintain property values, enforce community standards, and ensure a harmonious living environment. And here are a few examples of why HOAs have strict rules. Protecting property values. One of the primary purposes of an HOA is to protect and enhance property values within the community. Strict rules and regulations are often put in place to maintain a certain aesthetic appeal, cleanliness, and orderliness in the neighborhood. By enforcing these rules, HOAs aim to create a consistent and desirable living environment which can positively impact property values for all homeowners. Which I get.
Yeah.
And it's annoying when you have that like one shitty house on the street that...
Yeah. I remember when we were trying to sell our house, I was like, didn't we ask the neighbor if he could like keep the street clear as possible?
I think we mentioned it and we're just like,
because I said, I was like, oh, with our
don't
luck,
block,
somebody's going to come and they're going to be like, we don't want to deal with this guy and his 50 cars blocking up the street. Yeah, that was one thing. Our old neighbor had like a bunch of cars, like too many cars for his house.
Yeah. Maintaining community standards. HOAs establish guidelines and regulations to uphold specific standards of behavior, appearance, and usage of common areas. These standards help ensure that residents comply with agreed upon norms and maintain a cohesive community identity. Rules regarding noise, pet ownership, and architectural modifications or landscaping can be implemented to create a sense of uniformity and preserve the community's character. That's the stuff I don't like.
Because you don't care.
No. I do care.
I don't care about my neighborhood's character.
I do, but I don't like when everything looks the same.
You know what I hate?
What?
When people put political signs on their lawn.
Oh, God.
I don't need to know who you're voting for. I don't care. I would rather not know. I would rather us just have
here's the thing.
Apolitical
You have one sign,
relationship.
fine. People have been putting up one sign for a long time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
One sign.
Fine.
Get it? Fine.
Even that, I'm
when
not a
your
fan of.
whole identity is a candidate or a party, it's like...
Or even somebody who's like... I'm sure a lot of people know who I'm referencing, but even somebody who's like not even running. Like at one point, like... At one point, I was like, what are you doing? Or no, they had them as it was like their name. But
Trump.
And then the year that they were not voted in.
Yes.
Like pretending that they are the president.
Yes.
I was like, what are you doing?
They don't think they were pretending. Yeah,
No, Trump is
You-
Biden. He's pulling the string.
Yes.
That whole conversation.
I don't mind one.
He's
You
like, well,
wanna-
then wouldn't you like Biden? If
I
he
don't
was
mind
Trump?
one because everyone should have the right to, like, I guess, advertise or support their political candidate. But when you have your whole yard taken up by signs and you have flags, it's like,
Does it work though?
it's very concerning.
Do you ever drive by a sign and you're
hell
like,
yeah, all the time? Like, oh yeah, Trump 2020, hell yeah, all the time. It's constantly persuading me. Recent elections and political drama have definitely torn neighbors
it's
apart.
coming up again. It's coming up again.
And
It might be the same thing. It might be the same thing. I have been mentally freaking out about it, but I'm trying to not to pay attention.
all I
to
think
it.
about
And I'm
whenever,
like, it's gonna
like,
happen again.
whenever I think of like the next election, all I think is Bo Burnham. They're really gonna make me vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah. That's his.
Oh wait, I have an
Most of the
update for all our
internet.
listeners.
Oh,
Remember everybody how like for the pat like episodes ago, like I was talking
Episodes
about
ago.
like Twitter and how I hate it and all stuff like
oh,
that.
we made a whole episode about it because you wanted to talk about it.
I deleted the Twitter app off my phone, and it's been a month, so I'm doing better.
So I'm doing better.
I'm improving.
Don't put it back. It's just gonna get
No,
worse.
I have no desire.
In
I've
the
had.
next year, it's gonna.
I
Get
didn't
way
delete my
worse.
Twitter account. I'll still go on to my PC to like check my messages and quickly go through. But I will say, for anyone else that's maybe it's dealing with the same issues I've been dealing
If you
with,
feel like everything in the world sucks,
yes, delete Twitter. Get off social media.
or even TikTok.
TikTok,
that
Facebook.
was also a bad thing.
I use
for me.
Instagram now, and I will say it is significantly better.
You
Obviously,
still see things.
You
too.
still see
That's what's
things,
weird. Like I
but
still see things.
it's not. It's
that are
different
important.
because I don't know.
Yeah, it's different. It's just a
Little
different vibe.
sidetrack, but just saying, I deleted Twitter off my phone, the app, and I've been doing a lot better. And if you are in the same
Bobby
similar
update.
mindset or whatever, I would recommend it. Delete the app.
Bobby update.
Elon ruined it. No, it was
Actually,
ready.
I hear he's made it. It's better. It's more browsable, but it's like even easier to be a dumpster fire now, if that makes sense. Like the way that it's set up, I've heard
The
is
For You page. When they
Yes.
brought in the For You page, that's what I.
they said it could have been better.
Because that's what ruined it for me is that I would
The
go
For You
on
page.
and I'd start, and I'm like, wait, I'm on the For You page, and I just start seeing stuff. It's whatever.
Oh,
Anyway, good old BuzzFeed provided me some nice stories here. This is an article from July of 2021. All users submitted stories. So at 3 a.m. we woke up. There was a pounding on the door. We heard him say, "Come out, you effing P. I'm gonna F you up."
You effing E.
My wife immediately called the police. It turned out our neighbor was the one on the porch. He told the police that several nights prior, I had let my puppy out into my own backyard, and because I was in my boxers, I was trying to expose myself to his family because they could look down onto our yard from where theirs sits. He then followed this up to the police with evidence, which consisted of videos he had taken through our windows of my wife and I inside our home doing totally normal things like chores and watching TV.
Oh my god.
Creepy. Just creepy. That's the thing is like that's like the flip side to trying to be more friendly with your neighbors is that you have no idea the creepy weirdos that are living near you.
Oh, I didn't even think we didn't even talk about the big scary story, The Watcher.
I
You
don't
what
know.
The Watcher is?
No, you want to? Oh,
There's a whole Netflix show about it. I did a deep dive on it for a creepy video. I mean, a synopsis is
Yeah, give it a
in
quick
Jersey, somewhere in Jersey, like near, actually not too far from where we live. There was a house that a family moved into, and soon after they moved in the house, they started receiving letters from somebody that called themselves The Watcher.
The Watcher.
And this is a real story that was adapted into like a Netflix show or whatever. I still haven't seen it. But basically they kept getting letters of somebody that said that they were watching every single thing that they do. They knew how many children they had. They knew like what their ages were. They knew that the wife liked to paint. Like they knew a lot of stuff just by you look at
Chad is telling us right now.
Westfield, New Jersey.
And it happened in 2014. Sent.
Do you want to read it?
So the Watcher is a mysterious figure associated with a series of unsettling letters sent to a family in Westfield, New Jersey in 2014. A couple purchased a historic home and soon received anonymous letters from someone referring to themselves as the Watcher. The letters contained eerie and threatening messages claiming to be watching the house and its occupants. The family was so disturbed by the letters that they never moved into the house and instead sued the previous owners for not disclosing the harassment. The The case gained media attention and various theories and speculations emerged regarding the identity of the Watcher. However, no conclusive evidence or arrest have been made, and the true identity of the Watcher remains unknown. The story has captured public interest and continues to be a topic of discussion and speculation.
Yes.
I am the Watcher.
So they never figured out who it was, but there's also theories that the Watcher was actually the people who owned the house.
Yeah, that kind of...
That they made it up.
Yeah.
So they said that, like, there was a theory that, like, they had bought this house that was a very, very expensive house, like millions of dollars. And then when they went to start moving into it, that they realized that they had, like, spent way too much on the house, like more than they could afford. And they were trying to figure out how to, like, get out of the purchase of this house. And that's why they went after the previous owners, who also had received a letter, like, soon before they moved out of the house. So people were saying they, like, staged the whole thing, like sent a letter to this couple and then, like, tried to sue them, saying that they didn't disclose that they had somebody that were, like, sending creepy letters or whatever. Yeah. That's The Watcher. Watch the Netflix series if you want every little detail about it. It was pretty creepy. But yeah, like, you never know. And even in the letters, the guy was like, or the girl, who knows, was saying, like, I could be that man that, like, who takes walks, like, down your neighborhood every day. Or I could be your neighbor watching you through the window. Like, basically, like, making it the person as paranoid as possible, of being like, you don't know who I am.
But I'm watching you.
But yeah, if you have neighbors and you live in close proximity, like, they could be watching every little thing you do. And how would you ever know?
Little thing she does.
Could be filming you, trying to look through your window.
I'll be watching you.
They know when to break into your house the easiest because they know when you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
They know your schedule.
Which I feel like nowadays, because of security cameras and security systems,
That's harder.
It's more difficult. I had an upstairs neighbor that let their dog crap on their balcony.
I have heard of people doing pee and poop on
I
their
started to
balconies.
notice a brown viscous substance leaking on my potted plants on my balcony. It wasn't until it rained that I could smell that it was dog shit and piss. I got him evicted because it kept happening.
Gross.
Oh, here we go. This is
That's a good one.
Well, it's because
you hate people that leave garbage out.
Yes. Some neighbors left their garbage out in plastic bags the night before garbage day instead of putting it in a bin. If you do that, you are a jerk. And you are attracting animals. You idiot. Come morning, there was garbage thrown all over. When the raccoons and skunks didn't spread around, the wind picked up. Or what the raccoons and skunk didn't spread, the wind would pick up. People asked the neighbor to put his garbage in a bin. He told them to go F themselves. Thus began the garbage wars.
Oh my God.
Every morning of garbage day, some people would collect all the half-eaten and rotten trash from their lawns and toss it back into the neighbor's backyard. He would then collect it and dump it back on their lawns. People started finding half-eaten burritos and candy wrappers in their mailboxes. The street started to look like a slum. Police were called, health inspectors, city, by law enforcement, and it said he lasted about 8 months until I guess he left.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I hate it.
I hate it. You're gonna start stuffing garbage in their
No.
mailboxes.
If it was a neighbor and like we do often have like there will be, because our house is like the one street is like on a hill downward, so some people's garbage will like tumble down. But if we had a direct neighbor and crap stuff was always getting on our yard, I would 100% go over. I'd even like I'm gonna go buy you a garbage can. Here you go. Use the can. You are attracting bears. Idiot. I don't understand how people do that. It's like one of those things that makes no sense to me that I have no empathy for it. Don't care. There's no excuses.
Is it like when people don't wipe snow off their car?
Very close. I would say this one is more annoying. The garbage. I met two of my neighbors by the entrance of the building. They started to follow me up the stairs, not saying a single word, just following me. I rushed inside and locked the door. When they started hammering at it, I yelled, "What do you want? Leave me alone." They stopped hammering, and the man said, "We were just wondering if we could borrow your pee for a drug test tomorrow." I not so politely declined and told them to F off and called the police.
Lots of cursing in these neighbor stories.
Yeah, I did notice that. This is
so
BuzzFeed.
much hostility.
BuzzFeed's a little naughty. I came outside one morning to find a scratch on my car. We shared a driveway and things happened. No big deal. I let it go until a week later when I heard a crash in the driveway. Neighbor slammed his car into mine and crushed the entire front end. I went outside to confront him and he was so like messed up on drugs or alcohol. I'm putting my own words in so I don't have to keep cursing. That he didn't realize he had hit my car. I think these are like Reddit submissions from people. I called insurance and went through the whole thing. The same day, they came home from work and parked their already destroyed or messed up car in a different spot so he wouldn't hit it again. At 11 p.m. that night, he crashed into the car again. Despite them moving it and completely totaled the car. They called the cops at this point.
Oh my God. That's crazy. Twice in one day.
Yeah. See, like that's another thing is you could have like neighbors that are alcoholics or like addicted to drugs or like
have
domestic
problems.
or have like weapons and are just it's scary.
Or you could be living next to a serial killer that keeps people in their basement and you have no idea.
That was also a story in here about like some dentist that like
kept people in his basement,
killed people and like buried them. It was weird. I had an older neighbor named Vernie, and at the time when I moved into the house next to him, I also happened to have a gerbil named Vernie. About a year later, my gerbil passed. When I went to take his remains outside, I also noticed people don't put their rodents in the freezer like us and keep it there for years.
They don't care about them as much.
I also noticed a lot of family members over at my neighbor's house. I waved to the daughter I recognized, and she informed me that Vernie, my neighbor, had just passed. So the gerbil and the neighbor, both named Vernie, both passed on the same day.
Oh my God. They were just connected.
Yeah. All right. This is a longer one.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes. Thank you.
I feel bad. You always got to read everything.
Thank you.
So when I was in high school, there were a few disturbing occurrences in my neighborhood. A woman down the street who lived alone woke up one night to go to the bathroom and heard her TV on in the living room. So she naturally wandered in there, assuming nothing out of the ordinary. She found a guy sitting on her couch watching the TV, started screaming, obviously terrified, and the guy ran out of her house. I have heard things like this a couple times where like somebody gets really drunk and then just wanders.
Yeah.
You know where that would never happen? Our house, because I keep everything locked all the time. That's why.
I know.
We don't have any instances like this. Maybe a week later, further down the street, there was a family with a young daughter. She woke up in the middle of the night with her bed sheets pulled down and a guy tickling her feet. Again, started screaming and the guy fled. Another week or so later, 3 houses down, where an elderly couple lived, the guy woke up in the middle of the night to find a man standing over his bed and staring at his wife sleeping. The old man started hollering at the guy and the guy fled again. How's nobody finding this guy? So now everyone's on high alert, cops patrolling regularly, etc. They somehow find out who it was, and everyone in the neighborhood got a flyer with his picture. Behind us was a densely wooded area that stretches for a couple of miles in every direction. This guy had been literally living in those woods for upwards of a month in a tent, doing God knows what when he wasn't breaking into houses. But the creepiest part of the story, is this. One night, in the middle of all of those incidents, we had our sliding glass door open with just the screen door behind it shut. This was in the summer. We had a big I would never do this. Never leave it open unattended. We had a big backyard and it was pitch black back there at night. Our dog suddenly jolted up and started growling viciously. Like I'm talking tail stiff as a board, hair up on his neck standing up. Our dog was the best, nicest dog like ever. He never did that. So naturally we were like, what's going on? My father jumped up and put the floodlight over the deck on to see what was back there, but there was nothing. The next morning we were outside doing yard work and noticed the lock on our back gate was broken. Someone had clearly done it. It wasn't like it was wear and tear or something like that. It's very safe to assume that this guy had tried to get into our backyard/house, but was deterred by my dog's growling/barking. 15 out of 10, good boy. Yeah, I don't know how I'll ever be in a house without a dog ever.
Yeah.
A dog, a security system, cameras. I need those things.
And various weapons strategically placed all around the house.
And weapons.
Yeah, it's
the hope is you never need it, but it's there if you do.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you made a face as if like. Well, I meant like
they're
there's
there.
some people. I wish I could go through life thinking that like the worst possible thing wasn't gonna happen to me at every given moment. There's some people, like my mom for the longest would not lock her front door, like the
It's
doors
crazy.
in the house or the windows open. I can't. I cannot sleep in a house where I know that somebody could eat. Oh, because then the what she would say is, well, if somebody wanted to get in the house, and I think you've said this to me
Yes,
too.
but at the same time,
However, but I told you why.
no, I've seen plenty of videos where like people will like knock on the door, like try to break in.
You're making it easier, and there,
Yes.
so people
If
who
someone-
are it's people who are looking for an opportunity
Yes.
are gonna take it.
Yeah.
If somebody's like targeting you and wants to get in your house, sure.
Yes.
But you're also making it a lot easier for them.
Yeah.
B, a lot harder for the cops to ever find them
Exactly.
because they didn't break into
That's
your
the
home.
big thing. Is there's not going to be evidence.
Yeah,
if
or
they
they're
just
going to
walk
think it's
right in.
somebody that you know, whether that's true or not. But it's going to give them the idea that it's somebody you know and you let them in because your door was unlocked. But yeah, it's also the like if somebody, what's it called? Like, my stepdad's car got stolen, and it was because his keys were in the car, and they weren't targeting him because how would they have known his keys were in the car? They were probably going house to house and checking the doors on the cars to see who was open and then seeing if somebody left a key fob in the car, and there you go. So it's the same with houses. If somebody wants to break into a house, they're either gonna see if nobody's at the house, which somebody could be at the house. It just looks like they're not. That's why I like when there's like 50 cars parked in my driveway. I always feel super safe. I'm like, nobody's going to come here. There's too many people for them to take. Even if it's just like one person, we have like 5 cars outside. I'm like, yes, people don't know.
I'd like to be a creepy neighbor.
You
When I'm an
probably
old
are
man.
maybe we are the creepy
We probably are
neighbors.
the creepy neighbors.
I mean, what have we done? People can't see us as
That's the thing.
much
People
on
can't
this
really
house.
see
I feel
us.
like at the last house, they could definitely tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're okay here. That's why we're shrouded by trees.
Shrouded. Covered.
Covered with trees. Nobody can see our shenanigans.
We have the cover of trees.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Hope
Don't
you
come
enjoyed.
to our house. If you're our neighbor,
Don't be our neighbor.
don't be our neighbor.
And-
And
And-
remember, I want to say
Go
it.
ahead.
No, you do it.
I'm not doing it.
And remember,
Everything. Even your neighbor, Otto, and everyone
and
else.
Bobby.
Everyone is creepy. We learned all about neighbors
You
today.
didn't say everything.
Everything and everyone, including your neighbors, are creepy.